Hobby. An activity done regularly in one's leisure time for pleasure, aka something you like doing in your free time. And speaking of that, in this video I am going to be ranking hobbies on a tier list based on how good they are, at least in my opinion. By the way, I'm not going to be ranking every single hobby ever created, because then this video would be over an hour long. But anyways guys, let's get right into it. Gaming. Easy S tier. Let's be honest, gaming is literally one of the most, if not the most popular hobby out there. And the best part about it is that it's fun and it is a good old escape from reality. Not to mention that you don't need any friends to enjoy gaming. That shit is optional. Writing. B tier. This hobby can be fun, but it definitely requires a lot of brainstorming. Not to mention that most people wouldn't even be able to finish whatever novel or comic that they are writing in the first place. But I think the fun part of it is the character creation and fight scenes. But let's be real, a vast majority of people are not into writing. Drawing. A tier. This is like writing, but 10 times more difficult. Learning a new skill is definitely something you should do, but drawing can get very tedious sometimes. But the best part about drawing is when you finally draw something somewhat good looking. The reason why I put drawing in A tier but writing in B tier is because with drawing you can always at least create something visually appealing. Reading. S tier. This is a hot take from me, mainly because most people don't like reading, but it honestly depends on what you read. Like if you read educational and informative books like Atomic Habits, then your chances of becoming successful and achieving your goals will be much higher. But if you read fictional storybooks, then I guess that isn't a bad thing either. Exercising. S tier. This is easily one of the best, if not the best hobby you can do. Like there are so many benefits you can get from exercising, like improved mental and physical health, as well as improved self-esteem. Not to mention that your life expectancy will increase by a lot. Learning an instrument. B tier. Personally, I don't find this as cool as some people say, but it also isn't as difficult as others say. If I was forced to learn an instrument, I would definitely pick the drums. I can understand why some people would love to learn an instrument, but it's just not it for me. Learning history. A tier. Maturity is when you realize that history is not boring. School just makes it boring. I prefer learning more medieval / ancient history than recent history, if you get what I mean. Also, there is a reason why the phrase "those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it" exists. Eating. C tier. Now I know that eating is very important and it's something that we must do, but if you eat as a hobby, you are probably overweight. I'm sorry. In fact, when people say they eat as a hobby, I consider that overeating. Not the worst hobby to have on this list, but definitely not good either. Stargazing / astrophotography. B tier. Yes, I know the night sky can be very gorgeous to look at, but you really need to travel very far out of the city lights in order to see the night sky in its full glory. Not to mention that astrophotography is an expensive hobby that takes a lot of time and practice, but I guess you can also stargaze in your backyard too. Watching TV. B tier. I don't really watch too much TV, so yeah, but then again it honestly depends on what you are watching. It's not particularly a healthy hobby to do, but it isn't a bad hobby either. It's like gaming, but honestly less fun, at least in my opinion. Playing a sport / sports. S tier. To be honest, any form of athleticism that isn't deadly as a hobby should easily be in this tier. Like sports is literally exercise, but a lot more fun. Although you do need a friend or a group of friends for this hobby, so once you get one, it is worth it. My favorite sports are soccer / football and basketball. Gooning. C tier. If If you do this as a hobby, then you are an addict. I'm sorry. And no, gooning occasionally isn't good either. I know people will call me crazy for calling gooning a hobby, but there are people out there that genuinely treat it like one. The only reason why I even put it in C tier is because there are hobbies that people do that are even worse than gooning. Smoking/drinking. D tier. Not only is this not productive in any shape or form, it's also harmful for your health too. At least with gooning, there aren't any serious physical side effects. So, moral of the day, please do not smoke and drink. Content creation. A tier. The only reason why I even put it this high is because you can actually make a living from doing this hobby. I personally find content creation very fun. It's literally what I am doing right now. But like most hobbies, it's definitely not for everyone. Cosplaying. B tier. I understand why some people do this, but it's definitely not for me. Like, imagine having to buy a lot of clothing only to use it once for like a photo or something. Playing board games, card games, and tabletop games. B tier. The reason why I put it in this tier is because you need friends in order to do this hobby. Also, some of these games can either make friendships or break friendships. No in between. Most of them are fun, but also quite frustrating. Cave diving. D tier. I know this isn't really considered as a hobby, but some people definitely treat it like one. But anyways, I could never understand why people would want to crawl in small spaces and sometimes even potentially risk their own lives. Like, cave divers who are way too curious either end up injured and traumatized or straight up dead. Gardening. A tier. Honestly, this is a very dirty and somewhat labor-intensive hobby, but when you are done with whatever you're doing, I can see why some people love gardening as a hobby. Taking care and decorating your yard is not a bad thing to do. Photography. B tier. I don't find this hobby fun at all, to be honest. I don't get the appeal in taking pictures of things, but if you want to do that, then that is fine by me. Not to mention that this hobby takes a lot of practice to master. So anyways, that is the complete tier list of the hobbies that I mentioned in this video. But anyways guys, that is all I have for you today in this video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, subscribe with post notifications on, or even comment something positive. But anyways guys, see you all in the next one.